Good morning, good evening, good afternoon guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day and that you're staying safe and that you are well and happy. So I wanted to hop on here to just talk about my experience, why I've started to believe in God, and just share my testimony with you guys, because I feel like I've gone from a very non-religious person to a very religious person in the space of like what seems like 2 days. But in reality, it's something that's been building up over time, and I just wanted to share my experience with you. This video is I want you to tell me what you think of the lighting and the situation at the moment, because the last couple of videos I filmed with natural lighting during the daytime, and the lighting I noticed really fluctuated. So this time what I'm trying to do is kind of film at night. Well, not night, it's like 7:30, so I mean it's night for me. But with the light, so I want you guys to tell me what you think of the lighting, whether or not you think it's good. I'll know when I'm editing it, but what you guys think is at the heart of what I film. Okay, so I'm not anticipating this video getting a lot of views. It's just me sharing my story for anybody who wants to hear it. So, quick disclaimer.
This is not me inflicting Christianity on you. I'm not saying that you have to believe the views that I believe, just like I expect you guys to not explain the views that you believe and say why I should or shouldn't believe them.
So, I'm glad we got that out of the way, and now on to the fun stuff. So, why I believe in God, how God showed himself to me, etc, etc. Okay, so my parents aren't religious at all. We come from a very non-religious family. Even my grandparents aren't religious in any way, and they don't believe in God, so this is totally my opinions. My mum always has said everything happens for a reason. I grew up thinking and with that thought process that everything happens for a reason, and I do 100% believe that that is right. I 100% have always believed in kind of fate, and that there is a plan. So any adversity that we go through has a reason for us to develop from it, and that everything happens for a reason, basically. How many times can I say that in one sentence? So that being said, I kind of have always had that opinion, and I went to a Catholic school, and the first thing my parents kind of wanted to know was whether Catholicism was going to be inflicted on me or whether or not it was going to be my choice. So all through school I never believed in God. We did have, like, Catholicism was at the heart of my school community, and I always kind of made fun of it and just was like,
there ain't no God, science disproves it.
And little did I know that I would come on this little journey and totally prove myself wrong. So in fact, when I was in second year, we went on a retreat, and it was to this I don't know where it was, but it was kind of based around God and Catholicism, and we kind of just went on it for like team building because our year was a nightmare. So we went on this retreat, and I remember like we went to bed every night and prayed. We prayed at dinner, we prayed before meals, etc. And I remember starting to think maybe there is a God, but then as soon as I went back to school I kind of just put it down to the fact that it almost been inflicted on us. But later on I started to develop these thoughts, and everything I've went through with my mental illness and stuff, I've always been of the opinion like it's happened for a reason. Like I went through depression, and I have struggled with suicidal thoughts so that I can talk in front of a camera and help people, and I definitely think that it's had its reason, and I've learned from it and overcome so much, and I am the person I am today because of my mental illness. And I think that in that sense that there is a plan, and I've always thought about that but never associated it with a God. So recently I sat down for a meeting with someone for mental health in sport, and I was speaking to them, and basically they're an American footballer and he goes to uni here, and we were just chatting and I noticed that he was wearing a crucifix, so I asked him, oh, do you believe in God? And he basically said, yeah, I'm Christian. To which I've always been quite an intrigued person and wanted to know more, and I said to him, why do you believe in God? And I said, that's not me being judgy, that's just me trying to understand, because I like to understand people, and I like to, when I'm becoming friends with people, I like to get to know them and know even like what their beliefs are, why they believe certain things. I'm not just like, oh, they are that. I like to know why they are that way. And he said, oh, I just think that everything happens for a reason. God has a plan for us all. And the fact that his first sentence was everything happens for a reason, I was like, okay, what? So I was kind of interested in the fact that he was explaining all of the beliefs that I believed, but attributing them to a God. And I kind of sat there and was like, look, I don't believe in God, but that's really interesting because I believe in a lot of the things that you believe in. And we kind of just started talking about it and stuff. And yeah, like that was that. And I never really thought anything of it. And then a couple of weeks later, I started to think, back to that conversation. And I thought, maybe there is a reason for, like, maybe there is a cause. Like, if everything happens for a reason, it doesn't just happen. It has to happen for a reason. And maybe that reason is happening because it has a controller, if that makes sense. So, like, video games don't just play themselves. They have to have a gamer sat controlling them. And then I was like, maybe we're just a game of Sims. Got all really philosophical and was just like, nah, we ain't a game of Sims. And then I was like, what happens if God is the person playing Sims? But anyway, I started to get really deep into it, and then the next day I was on YouTube and a YouTuber just popped up in my suggested, and it was Milena Ciciate, or if I'm butchering her name, I do apologise, but it was her video, and I was watching it, and then she started talking about her faith, and I was just like, this is too crazy. I've clicked on a totally random video that has come up on my suggested. I've never watched a Christian video in my life, and all of a sudden it's coming up. And I was just like, I don't believe in coincidences. Like I said, everything happens for a reason. And I was like, why has this presented itself to me? So then I started to get interested and looked at her other videos. But then I got distracted, went away, and then the next day another video appeared in my suggested. I hadn't subscribed to her at this point, but obviously I had watched her, so the algorithm would say, look, like, who knows how the YouTube algorithm works. And it was a video about why she believed about God presenting himself through people, and she was just talking about that. So I was like, this is too crazy, the fact that that's two situations. I've been speaking to DK about Christianity, and all three have happened. So I was kind of like interested, and my mental health mentor, who's also a really good friend of mine, we were friends before he was my mental health mentor, Ben Thorpe. He's watching this, I know he is, because he's my Australian dad. And yeah, like, I was so interested, and I know that he is very open about his faith and he knows that I don't judge people, and knows that if I were to ask something, it wouldn't be in a judgmental way. So I sent him a message and said, why do you believe in God? And I can't remember his response, but he said, I'm watching this sermon, feel free to check it out. And at this point, like, lockdown wasn't happening, but it was starting to come into effect, so I was kind of staying indoors more. And I was like, do you know what, I've got nothing else to do, so why don't I just sit and watch it? So I watched this video it was a Found Church, and that is a church in Larbert, so that's kind of close to Stirling. And it was of this pastor basically giving his Sunday sermon, and he started to talk about, it was on in the background, I wasn't really paying attention, like I was cleaning. At this point I was like trying to clean stuff to get ready for the flat move, and it was just on. So the first thing they do is have worship music, so I was just like, oh well, it's tunes that are different. I was getting fed up with my usual playlist. And then the next thing I knew was this Pastor Stephen, was talking about this bit of scripture in the Bible, and I was like, oh, people actually study the Bible? Like, I thought that, like, they just knew of it and just talked about it all the time. And obviously this was totally different to my Catholic school, where it was very much like, this is the way, this is how we do it kind of thing. But this was almost like, this is how I interpret it. But in this sermon, he actually talked about witnesses, and I was just like, right, okay. And then he started to talk about swimming. And at this point, I must have been cleaning something, and I just stopped and was like, did I hear that right? And I turned, and he was talking about swimming and the fact that Olympic swimmers are so focused on their goal that they only think about themselves and how they're striving to achieve that goal. To which I was just like, is this guy for real? Like, does he know what I'm thinking? And from then, that flashed me back to Melena's video where she was like, God speaks to you through people. And I was like, is he speaking this for me? Like, is there a reason why I've decided to watch this video? And I got really philosophical about it, and I was just like, maybe there is a God, and maybe like this is a sign. So I was like kind of thinking about it, and I kind of started to take notes on it, and I found it really interesting, the fact that the stuff that he was saying, and the fact that like he was talking about racing his daughter and stuff like that. I'll link it below for anybody who's interested, but it was so interesting what he was saying. And it was just the fact that he'd started to talk about swimming, and competitive swimming more specifically, and I was just amazed. And I was just like, what is happening right now? Am I in the Truman Show? And yeah, so I left it, kind of thought, oh, maybe there is a God, kind of didn't really think too much about it. And then the next day I was kind of like, okay, I think there is a God now. And I started to believe, started to think, and then I subscribed to Melena's YouTube video, kind of looked to more faith videos, and yeah, I just kind of realised that that was God's way of telling me that like he's there for me, and that he is giving the plan, he's putting the plan in place for me. And yeah, like I think from then I watched her Bible study video, and I was just amazed, because my idea of Christianity was totally different to what it actually is. And so I kind of, from there, I then ordered a Bible off Amazon. I started to watch more prayer videos, more sermons. I started to watch, actually another thing that happened to me, a suggested video around about this time, a Pastor Paul Doherty video came up about mental illness and faith. And I actually did a Bible and mental health video, so that's linked in the corner. Go and check it out if you're interested. But all of this happened like around the same time, and I was just like, this is a sign. Everything happens for a reason, and this is to point me in the right direction, to point me in the path of God, and to point me to better things and to live my life. And I think if I've learned anything from this, it's that nobody's perfect, and like we're all human, and that nobody's perfect, and that everything that happens, like even this lockdown situation, is happening for a reason, and everybody is going to take something different out of it. So I have come closer to God, I have developed my mental health strategies, I've worked on myself, I've worked on my mental well-being, on how to maintain that, I've worked on my gratitude, I've worked on telling myself I am enough. Like, not just thinking, oh, maybe I'm alright actually, but being like, I am enough. Like, that's such a powerful phrase. And I've learned that from lockdown, and what you guys have learned from lockdown will be totally different to what I've learned from lockdown. And I think that's the amazing thing about God, and God can create one event, but it can affect so many different people in a different way, and I think that's amazing. So yeah, like, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, I would love to know what you guys have learned from lockdown. This was my story. I am on an amazing journey. Thank you to the people who have spoken to me, but ultimately God spoke through them to me, so thank you, God. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It is slightly different to the videos I normally film. I would like to film more faith-related videos, just because, like, it's part of my life, and I am a lifestyle channel. But yeah, like, please be kind, love one another, and just have an amazing day, and try and learn something from each day, because everything that happens has a reason. Click the subscribe button to see more notifications, more videos from me. Click the bell to turn your noties on, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, stay safe. Wait there! Watch this video if you've not seen it. It's there for you. And click that subscribe button so that you don't miss any videos from me. Have a good day!